Hi, welcome to another video on Love is Blind Season 6, and this time we'll be looking at Chelsea and Jimmy and why they have actually Jessica and Trevor to thank for their relationship. This video is going to be a part 1 where I cover the start of their journey in the pods and the love triangles with Jessica and Trevor. I'll also be doing a part 2 soon about Chelsea and Jimmy, discussing their interactions after the pods. So first, disclaimers. Spoiler alert, this video is going to cover episode 1 to 5 of season 6. I also understand that it is an edited show. I am only analyzing the characters portrayed. I also believe that people can grow and change. So why were Chelsea and Jimmy attracted to each other in the first place? I think a huge part of their chemistry is born out of not being able to read each other and the resulting excitement and tension created. It seems from the show that Chelsea is unable to gauge or read Jimmy at all.
You're so mysterious to me, but you're not.
What do you mean I'm mysterious?
Like, your facial expressions, or like when I cry or say something, like, are you, like, might just be because I can't see your face.
Whilst Jimmy is pleasantly surprised that Chelsea recovers and reconciles with him every time he thought he had messed it up.
Honestly, I think the divorce conversation, the way that you reacted when that conversation happened, made me sit with the way that I felt about you. I didn't want to stop talking to you. And
are you talking about like after like you sort of broke that news to me, you wanted to keep talking to me? I was mad at myself for not responding better in the moment.
This combination where they both aren't able to read each other but then get validation on and off is what creates high drama and chemistry. Chelsea craves Jimmy's validation more than, say, Trevor's is because it feels more hard-won. She knows that Jimmy doesn't dole it out that easily.
Definitely falling for your personality and who you are, and you're really special.
I'm like speechless. You didn't even say anything crazy.
I have explained my theory of chemistry and personality types in another video, link above, but essentially Chelsea has dominant FI, introverted feeling function, and people with FI need their emotions and values to be responded to and reflected back at them, which is FE, extroverted feeling. Jimmy does have FE, but in his lowest position, FE inferior. And our inferior function takes us a lot of energy to use, thus it's often a very on and off function because we can't use it all the time without feeling drained. So then high chemistry is created between a dominant FI type and a lower FE type. The on and off FE would feel very special and exclusive to the FI person. Meanwhile, the FI person's natural expressiveness would make the lower FE person feel very competent at relating and connecting to people, which they deep down aspire to be good at. I think Chelsea chooses Jimmy over Trevor because she's choosing drama and familiarity.
Roller coasters are so my thing. I love the thrill.
Over compatibility. Chelsea's inability to read Jimmy's feelings because of Jimmy's natural lesser ability to express them, it creates an experience for Chelsea that she's very familiar with and expects, where she is left guessing about how someone feels about her and never knowing where she stands.
I was so doubtful that I could find someone to love me for who I am, and to find my person during this journey is just unreal.
Because Chelsea deep down does not love herself, she then expects men to reject her or to be unsure about her.
I think it's so hard for me to feel loved and like lovable, so for me to like feel this is so surreal, and I just hope that it stays that way.
On top of that, she also gets a massive high when Jimmy suddenly does express his feelings to her.
It's been a long time since I've felt this way about someone, but I love you, Chelsea.
And a lot of us do associate this emotional roller coaster with great romance. Whereas with Trevor, Chelsea does not choose the secure, easy, no drama option. The common peace that she feels with Trevor is not familiar.
You bring a side of like joy and happiness that I don't think I've ever felt in a relationship before.
That's really good.
And we often do end up choosing what is familiar rather than what is good for us when we haven't processed our past traumas.
I'm confused. So you're choosing someone who was questioning if they wanted another girl versus someone who was 100% sure that they wanted you.
As for Jimmy, my impression was that Jimmy had way more chemistry and emotional draw towards Jessica.
I've never been more sure that Jessica. I've never been more sure that Chelsea.
Jimmy and Jessica have complementary sensing S functions, which may half explain the high sexual chemistry. SI, introverted sensing, expects and demands an experience, and SE, extroverted sensing, is happy to oblige and initiate.
There's a lot of sexual tension, so I'm excited about the lust.
Jimmy!
Their hero and inferior functions are also aspirations to each other, which explains the emotional connection. They would look up to each other in a way. In addition to the theory, it seems like this specific type pairing often have great sexual chemistry according to my research and client experience. Examples from reality TV shows are Micah and Paul from season 4 and Colleen and Matt from season 3. In relationships, the feeling function does play a huge factor. And for most of the pod dates, I feel that Jessica's FE hero was able to guide Jimmy's FE inferior to be more comfortable in this emotionally challenging situation.
Well, thank you for wrapping that up because I can't form a sentence to figure out how to tell you how I feel.
Jessica's FE hero has led all the pod dates and sort of held Jimmy's hand by demoing how to be emotionally vulnerable.
To my future husband, I can't wait to give every part of myself to you. Cheers to forever. With love and gratitude, your wife.
But the need for Jess to do this is what ultimately pisses her off the most because she's had to do all the work for him.
I have done a decent job at expressing my feelings about you.
I don't know if I can tell you exactly what you want to hear at this point.
And it also seems like Jimmy doesn't even really appreciate how much Jessica has had to lead and hold his hand.
If I am really worked up about something and I'm emotionally not on the top of my game, I need someone that can help me with that.
I feel in the end, Jimmy only chose Chelsea because his number one choice, Jessica, looked like too much work. I think the main conflict within Jimmy regarding Jessica is that his heart says yes, but his head says no, because he's not ready to have the responsibility of a child.
You feel like you're ready to be a father?
Yeah, that's something I got to think about.
In terms of personality type, that's his TI introverted thinking, which says a woman with a child is not going to work for me right now, versus his FE extroverted feeling, which is saying, I love how intensely she loves me. And in the end, TI, his head, is his dominant function.
I know if I want to pursue a long-term relationship with you, like those are something I need to think about, and that's because you have Autumn.
On top of that, I also think that Jimmy couldn't handle Jessica's criticism of him and her upset. When Jessica had had enough of his indecisiveness, she goes on to criticize how he's mishandled this whole love triangle situation.
You're torn between me and somebody else. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're feeling. I don't know if you're just like beating around the bush about it because you don't feel the same way. Which if you haven't noticed by now, like I'm a big girl.
I'd prefer our dates to be our dates and not talk about where my head's at picking between two people.
To Jimmy, this would feel like a slap in the face for his FE inferior, from FE hero no less, which is basically someone who's really good with people, convincingly dragging you for being socially and emotionally inept, which is FE inferior's biggest insecurity.
For the right person, I'd never have to wonder if I was too much. But you knew that I was, and you let me pour my heart out to you more than once.
Hi, just a quick interlude to say that if you're enjoying my content, then please remember to like and subscribe, and also turn on your notification bell so that you don't miss out on any new videos. I also think that Jimmy got a very false impression of Chelsea in the pods, and I'm not just talking about Megan Fox.
You saying you look like Megan Fox?
I feel Jimmy completely misjudged that Chelsea was way more emotionally stable and easy compared with Jessica.
I love that you've been willing to go at my pace and have been so understanding.
And this is because Chelsea was kept content from getting her fill of validation from Trevor.
I'm not a complicated woman. I'm a very easy woman. And
So with Trevor, I can no longer really comment too much on Trevor because there's been really convincing allegations that he's a fraud and had a secret girlfriend the whole time. However, regardless of whether Trevor was a fraud and whether he meant what he said, he does have the skill of knowing exactly what to say to reassure Chelsea and keep her from feeling insecure.
I've gotten a few reactions this go around, so it's been kind of wild.
Dude, people want like life where like, oh, their wife has never even kissed someone else. Like, that's not life.
He also never gets tired of her need for repeated reassurance and constantly testing him.
You're the only person I would even consider still talking to.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you lying?
No.
In fact, he's quite happy to deliver for her.
You don't have fears that like, if we see each other, you don't like me?
You mean if you're not like my typical type?
Yeah.
No, I'm not scared of that. Because I love you.
Trevor has FE extroverted feeling as his top function, and FE hero has the natural skill to manage people's feelings and respond to emotions. They read your emotion and then they know what to say to reassure you or to manage it however they want to. Trevor's high FE is able to respond to Chelsea's FI introverted feeling and keep her very happy.
I'm over the moon right now. Oh my gosh.
This makes her look way more together and less of an emotional wreck to Jimmy.
I've never been more sure that Chelsea is someone that I can literally talk to about anything.
So then when Jimmy met an emotionally satisfied Chelsea straight after talking to a very upset Jessica, he ran straight for what felt like the emotionally easier option. When in reality, without Trevor keeping Chelsea's insecurities at bay, Jimmy's FE inferior alone will find it very exhausting to handle her mood swings. And he's also overestimating Chelsea's ability to handhold him through emotional minefields like Jessica has.
And I almost went home this morning.
I don't want to hear that.
What? I'm sorry. I feel like I can tell you anything.
You can. What? That would have sucked.
In short, it's a domino effect and they're all dating each other.
It's like a love star.
We're all dating each other. I'm dating you just as much as I'm dating them.
Pretty much.
Jimmy and Chelsea ended up choosing each other largely because of their experiences with Jessica and Trevor. So they have those two to thank for their engagement. Okay, possible unpopular opinion incoming. And I guess the whole debate about Jessica being a single mom and whether Jimmy was a bad guy for rejecting her because she had a child, I feel that Jessica was slightly sneaky about the timing of when she revealed that information to Jimmy.
Today's the day I know I have to tell Jimmy. I have a 10-year-old daughter.
How come we didn't talk about that earlier?
And I want to preface that I understand how much it sucks to date as a single mom. And I know that it sucks way more than being a single dad. I get it. And I can understand not wanting to reveal that information on a first date and wanting people to get to know you as a person first.
I'm super nervous about how some of the guys are going to receive the fact that I have a child.
But I do feel, and I don't know if this is editing, that Jess waited a bit too long and that she did this deliberately. Like, she deliberately waited until the guy has fallen for her and emotionally attached.
Finding out that Jess has a daughter at home, it's a lot to take in. So I've got to really think things through and figure out really what I want. But what I do know is that we definitely have a connection.
Having a child and being a parent is a big deal. It affects lifestyle, it affects finances, living situation. The guy has to live with your child, the child has to live with your guy. It's not like something like, oh, I was divorced before, where it's in the past and it doesn't have practical implications for your life going forward as a couple. So I feel that Jessica was not being completely honest with Jimmy by delaying when she told him about the child. And it feels like a deliberate strategy to lure men in who may not otherwise have emotionally invested in the first place. You can look at it this way, that Jessica has taken away the man's opportunity to make an informed choice and cornered him into a difficult position where if he rejected her because of the child, he'll look like the biggest douchebag because now feelings are involved.
I want to give people the chance to get to know me individually first, because even though I'm a mother and it's the most important thing to me, it doesn't define me. I feel like I'll just know when the time is right to tell somebody.
Also, if you do have a child, why won't you want to filter out people who are not ready for a child? Yes, it will filter out loads of people and significantly narrow your dating pool, and that sucks. But on the other hand, that's also the reality of being a parent. You're meant to filter out unsuitable people in order to protect your family because your kid is involved now. It's not just about you anymore. Why would you, as a parent, want someone who has reservations about your child anyway, which then requires you to convince them and cajole them into it? It's a recipe for building resentment in your relationship. On the other hand, what Jimmy has done wrong here is that he chickened out of communicating his thought process to Jessica.
At the very least, what you owe me is just 1 single ounce of directness.
I think the truth is Jimmy would have excluded Jessica if he knew that she had a child earlier on. But because he is now emotionally attached and invested, he was willing to consider it, but that thinking process takes time. And I think it would have been kinder and more mature to Jessica to communicate that he was considering things, that it's not a no, but it's not a yes either. Instead, he just said the people-pleasing script of, oh, it's not a deal breaker, you can always lean on me.
I don't know. It's just I feel like I've gotten to know you so much, and I like you a lot, and I'd like to just hear more about it.
And it leaves Jessica dangling with hope and makes her increasingly more desperate for him.
Oh my God, I love him so much.
Basically, his fear of looking like the bad guy is what made him look like the worst guy.
It's not fair for me to even begin to try to give you what you want if I'm not 100% sure.
Why didn't you tell me that at any point before yesterday?
It wasn't until our final date. It ended so terribly.
Exactly, and you chose, like you always do, to do absolutely nothing.
And I blame this on his lowest function, FE, extroverted, feeling inferior. With our inferior function, it takes a lot of energy and practice for us to master it. And FE is about managing people's feelings. So Jimmy just wasn't skilled enough to know how to navigate this tricky emotional minefield. But he desperately didn't want to mess it up. Meanwhile, Jimmy also has top function TI introverted thinking hero, which has its own mind about what makes sense for me, what are my goals and criteria. So he ends up buying time to consider and weigh up his options whilst appeasing and entertaining Jessica without communicating how undecided he actually was.
I felt really good about you, I felt really good about her, and I was gonna try to maximize my time with everybody. Boy, do I feel terrible from doing that.
And he doesn't foresee that not communicating honestly where his heart's at in this case comes off way more cruel and heartless when he ends up rejecting her because of the child.
I came here to find my wife and future mother of my kids. I know that you're already an incredible mother, going to be an amazing wife for someone else.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful and interesting. If so, then please like, subscribe, and share with anyone you feel it would help. I've developed my own methods of interpreting and assessing personality types. So if you want us to analyze your personality type and make sense of your relationships, communication, and decision making, then please find booking details in the description box below.